A 74-year-old black man, humiliated in a Mississippi diner. The biker crossed the line. He grabbed his necklace, and his wife's ring fell. The diner went silent. Nobody moved. Then, the old man stood up. One move, one counter. The biker went down, hard. Then the door opened. A county sheriff walked in and pointed at the old man. He arrested him. Then he smiled, because that sheriff was his brother. The old man said, "Let me make one phone call." 1 hour later, the FBI surrounded the entire town.
This is the FBI. Drop your weapons.
His name was Elijah Brooks. He was 74 years old. He wasn't chasing attention. He wasn't trying to prove anything. A year earlier, his wife Mary had passed away after a long illness. At her funeral, Elijah didn't say much. He just stood there, holding her wedding ring. Now he wore it on a thin chain, resting against his chest. He didn't cry that day. He had already cried enough for a lifetime. That evening, he drove from Jackson to visit her grave. He spoke softly to the headstone like he always did. Then he turned the key and headed home. On the way, he stopped at a small roadside diner. He was tired, hungry, just looking for a moment of peace. He didn't know that peace was about to be tested. The diner smelled of grease, burnt coffee, and old vinyl booths that had soaked up decades of spilled stories. A dusty TV murmured in the corner, some forgotten rerun nobody was really watching. Elijah sat by the window, hands folded on the table, eyes drifting toward the road outside. He wasn't in a hurry. He wasn't waiting for anyone. Just a tired man eating a quiet meal. Then the door swung open. 4 bikers walked in. Leather vests, heavy boots, loud voices, the kind of confidence that came from never being told no. They laughed too hard, talked too loud, owned the room the moment they entered it. The leader stepped forward, Kyle Maddox. He scanned the diner slowly, then his eyes locked onto Elijah. He stopped, smiled, and started walking. Each step was unhurried, deliberate, like he already knew how this would end. He stopped at Elijah's table.
"That seat ain't for you."
Elijah looked up calmly, eyes steady, voice even.
"I'm just eating dinner."
Kyle smirked, not amused, not friendly, just cruel. He picked up his full cup of water, and without another word, he threw it across Elijah's face. Cold, sudden, humiliating. The room went silent. A waitress froze mid-step. A couple stared down at their plates. A Vietnam veteran clenched his jaw, hands tightening around his coffee mug. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Water dripped from Elijah's chin onto the table, onto the floor. Slow. He wiped his face with his sleeve. Looked back up, and said quietly, "Son, don't do that." The word son lit a fuse. Kyle's smile vanished. His hand shoved Elijah hard. A chair scraped, a breath caught, someone gasped. Elijah hit the floor. For a second, nobody knew what would happen next. Then, Elijah stood back up, slow, controlled, unrushed, not angry, focused. Kyle laughed.
"See? Easy."
Kyle noticed the chain around Elijah's neck. He grabbed it. The ring snapped loose and hit the floor. That was the moment. Elijah knelt, picked it up, carefully. His hand trembled, not from fear, but from grief. He looked at Kyle. "Give it back," he said, "and walk away." Kyle stepped closer. That's when Elijah moved. Not wild, not angry, precise. A wrist lock, a sweep, one man down. Another rushed in, redirected, into a table. A third reached for a blade, disarmed, and pinned. 3 men down. The diner froze. Elijah wasn't violent. He was disciplined. Kyle groaned.
"Who the hell are you?"
Elijah answered softly.
A husband.
The door jingled. A county sheriff stepped inside. For a moment, relief filled the room. Then he spoke. Cuff him. He wasn't looking at the bikers. He was pointing at Elijah. Kyle smiled.
That's my brother.
The room went cold. A waitress gasped. The veteran whispered, "Oh no." Elijah looked straight into the sheriff's eyes. Calm, steady.
You really going to do this?
The sheriff leaned in, low voice. People like you don't get justice here. Elijah was taken in. The bikers were released. At the station, reports were rewritten. Elijah was handed false charges. He didn't argue.
I need to make a phone call.
You think anyone's coming?
Elijah looked up calmly.
Just let me make it.
He dialed one number, and when the line connected, his voice changed.
Son, Alpha Delta. Location, Yazoo County Sheriff's Office. They're falsifying reports and protecting violent offenders.
That was all. 50 minutes later,
FBI. Drop your
a
weapons.
helicopter thundered overhead. Black SUVs flooded the street. Men and women moved with precision.
This is the FBI. Yazoo County Sheriff's Office is under federal investigation. Surrender the sheriff immediately.
The color drained from every face. Elijah sat calmly. A man stepped inside, mid-40s, sharp eyes, calm authority. His badge read, Supervisory Special Agent, FBI.
You're under arrest.
Then he turned to Elijah.
Dad, I'm here.
You did your job.
Orders followed fast. Cuffs on the sheriff. Evidence seized. Records pulled. Arrests issued. Outside, the bikers were already in custody. Weeks later, the town felt different. Quieter, lighter. Elijah walked down the street. People nodded. Some lowered their heads, in respect. The waitress smiled through tears. Elijah touched the ring on his chest. Mary, I kept my promise. And he walked on. Not a hero, not a legend, just a man who refused to let dignity die.